so you understand more deeply the powerhouse, but very, very importantly, the pelvic floor. It's always a little bit difficult to feel how to contract it and also to know how it really is. Let's look at this model. We have the pelvis, white, right? We have the sacrum, pelvis, and then here below all the red part is the pelvic floor. In fact, we have many layers of this pelvic floor. You don't need to know all of them. It's just important that you see now that it fills up all the part below in our pelvis, because otherwise there would be a hole here. It's the same for men as well, okay? So now let's try to see. We have the bones, the sit bones here. We have the bones into the front, the os pubis, and we have the coccyx to the back, okay? And all in between, like a hammock, we have our pelvic floor. In fact, with a ball, I'm going to show you that in a moment, you can do a massage of your pelvic floor so you can feel it better, and you can also release tensions with that. It's really very efficient, because the pelvic floor can not only have tensions, it can be also not strong enough, but tensions, a lot of tensions can provoke that I cannot contract it properly, I have pain in it. It can also make that I have pain in my hips because it's connected. I can have pain in my pelvis or in my lower back because it goes up there. Your osteopath can explain more details about it if you want to know it, or you find it in the internet as well. But now let's talk about how we can contract our pelvic floor and what happens when we do it. I always like to tell women that you try to understand that when you breathe out, you want to really contract your pelvic floor, the inside of your vagina, tuck it in like that and lift it up. Because it happens a lift up when you do it. When you can contract your pelvic floor, it really lifts up a little bit. We're going to feel it with the ball right away. You can also understand that when you have your sit bones here, okay, my hands are my sit bones, my fingers are my muscles. When you do a contraction of your pelvic floor, breathing out, then your sitting bones, they come together and your pelvic floor lifts up. That's really this movement that's happening. It's a soft movement, but that's the movement that we're doing, okay? Let's try to have that in your head. For the men, I say it's like, you know the feeling when you stop, when you make pee-pee, you know the feeling. That's the contraction of the pelvic floor. Always, all men tell me, yes, I know this feeling, so they know how to do it, and it happens the same in your pelvic floor, okay? So now, let's try to do this massage so you can understand it better at home as well. You're gonna take a ball, you can be a tennis ball, a ball that you need for jonglage, or you can make yourself a ball like that, taking a sock and putting some rice in it, okay? So now let's try to sit on it. We sit on the ball. We have all the bones around it. The sitting bones are right and left. The pubis is to the front and the coccyx is to the back. We're not sitting on the bones. They're right on the side of the ball, okay? Now let's try if you can do some massage. If it's too tight down there, maybe you want to take some weight away, okay? But if it's okay for you, try to do it without your hands, because there you can do really a nice massage and you're going to be much more conscious about your pelvic floor after that. That's something you can do all the time, regularly. If you feel that it makes you feel better afterwards, you have less pain, some parts of it, as I told you before, can be released. Let's do it now for us so we can feel the pelvic floor better. Do it as long as you want. You can stop the video if you want. So now when I sit on it, I want to have this consciousness of my sit bones. Let's try to have this image in our head. Breathing out, tuck your vagina up. Tuck it together and up. You're going to feel this little movement of your sitting bones. Maybe you feel it, but now you know it. It's okay if you don't feel it now, right now yet, okay? And now maybe you can better feel the pelvic floor lifting up from your ball. Lifting up, breathing out and coming back. It's important to have your mouth open when you breathe out, please, because otherwise you put a pressure on it and it's not working. Tuck it in and release. Tuck it in and release. Okay, good. Let's take the ball away. Put it down there. And now sit there and you're gonna have a much better consciousness of your pelvic floor and of your pelvis, I'm sure. So now let's do the same movement. You're gonna feel with your hands what happens with your belly at the same time, because there's something gonna happen there, I'm sure it will. So breathing out with your mouth open, tuck your pelvic floor in and lift it up. Now you know what happens. Release and tuck it in. And you're gonna feel what happens there, because down there the belly is gonna tuck in as well. Isn't that great? One more time. Great. Now, another part. That's the first part of our powerhouse. You know it. When you do the Pilates with me, you always want to start with the pelvic floor. Or sometimes with the belly button is okay. I have some videos with it. But now let's do it like that. The second part is our lower belly, okay? You could feel already tucking in your pelvic floor that the belly is tucking in. We want to have this even stronger. What you can have as image is you can imagine that you close a pan. You're closing your zipper and your belly is tucking in. Let's first start with the pelvic floor and then do that because it's easier for you, okay? So straight ahead, breathe in, breathe out. Pelvic floor up and tuck your belly in. Nice, release. And let's do it again. Wonderful, one more time. Mouth open. Okay. One more thing, very important after having had a baby, but also for all of us. When we really want to work our powerhouse correctly, which is very important, you need to understand that our transverse muscle, our deep belly muscle, what does he do? He is clothing both parts that we have of this transverse. When you're pregnant, sometimes it opens here, but sometimes also with men it can happen, or with us women who have not had babies. So what's important to understand is when you think about this powerhouse is that it's important to understand that you close this part and your belly's gonna tuck it in very, very hard. Okay? Important. We never want to have a pointed belly. We never want to have it like that. When you're doing Pilates, being pregnant, very important. Okay, your belly maybe is here, but when you tuck your belly in, it tucks in flat. No pointed mountain. Never. Otherwise you put on too much weight, okay? So then don't do it. Everything is great for you when you don't have that, but you have this. Understand it? Important, okay, for all of us. Now, let's go to the third part of our powerhouse and then we talk about this again. The third part of our powerhouse is the upper part here, because our transverse is the connection between our pelvis and our ribs. Go and see basics of Pilates flows and then you will understand it there even more. So let's see with my hands what happens when I do this part of the powerhouse. When I breathe in, my ribs open. My hands open as well. When I breathe out, my ribs close and my finger close, direction belly button. You see that? It's the same with yours. Breathe in. Breathe out. That's the closing ribs word that I talk about a lot in my videos, okay? This connection here, so important. That's always what you want to do, okay? Now we want to talk about, again, that we want to have it flat here. We want to flat it down there, have it flat down there and up here. So now we need to find a balance between both. Maybe when you start with it, after having had a baby or you're new at Pilates, you need to find a balance between the both too, because sometimes I have a lot of tension up here. If I have a lot of tension up here, one thing is important, you can release the tension by doing a simple exercise. You just take the part here, your fat and your skin, and you take it and pour it, tuck it away from your ribs. This is a great exercise that I show all my clients. You can take away a lot of pressure like that. Let's do it on both sides. You can do that as long as you want until you can really tuck the skin away. Maybe it's not that easy. Sometimes it's tough here, so do it like that. Okay? One little intermezzo. But now we want to have a balance between upper and lower belly. Let's put one hand there, one hand there. Let's breathe in, breathe out. Close your pelvic floor, lift it up. Tuck your belly in and close your ribs. Release. Do it only 50% of what is possible. We want to find out what is good for you. If this works out in a balance there and there, you can do it stronger, okay? But don't do it too strong if you don't manage to have a balance. Also, when you do exercises, you want to tuck it in here and here as well. We want to close this belly and have it flat. Okay? Now we do the exercise where we do the same, but then we don't release it anymore. I always have my straight back. I will only breathe in up here and up here a little bit. Don't release the powerhouse. It's gonna release a little bit. The pelvic floor will release. But shuck, each time you come again, you're gonna tuck it up again. Okay, you understand? It's gonna release, it's okay. But I don't do it because I want to. It happens by itself. Okay, let's try it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Pelvic floor, lower belly in, close your ribs. Breathe in up here. Breathe out. Pelvic floor, lower belly, close your ribs. Breathe in up here. And go again. Pelvic floor, lower belly, ribs. Oh, that's a lot to do, I know. Use this video and the video with the principles of Pilates flows, and you will start to understand more and more what is important. For all beginners, for all people used to it, it can be good to listen about it again. It's important after having had a baby, very important, and also being pregnant. Please look it really as many times as you want. Thank you very much. See you soon.